Jack Abbott's eyes snap open in total darkness. For a moment he can't breathe. His head pounds. His vision spins. And then the horrifying realization hits him. He's not in his bedroom. He's not at the Abbott mansion. He's somewhere else. Somewhere locked. Somewhere he was never meant to wake up from. Jack slowly sits up, gripping the edge of the bed beneath him. The room sways slightly, his temples throb as if someone struck him from behind. "What the hell?" he whispers. His voice echoes faintly off the walls. Small room. No decorations. Bare furniture. This isn't a guest room. It's a cage. Jack pushes himself to his feet and staggers toward the door. He grabs the handle and twists. Locked. He tries again. Nothing. A cold realization creeps up his spine. He's trapped. Jack's breathing grows heavier as he turns slowly, scanning the room. Something feels wrong, deeply wrong. Then he notices the window. A tiny round window. Jack steps closer. And freezes. Water. Nothing but endless dark water stretching in every direction. Jack Abbott isn't just kidnapped. He's on a yacht. In the middle of the oceans. And the man responsible is someone who has hated him for decades. Victor Newman. Meanwhile, across town, the storm Victor has created is already spreading. Billy Abbott stares at his phone, his jaw tight. Victor's ultimatum echoes in his mind. Sign over Chancellor. Or Jack pays the price. Billy shakes his head in disbelief. No, he mutters to himself. Victor is bluffing. He has to be. Victor plays dirty, everyone knows that, but kidnapping Jack, dragging this feud into something criminal. Even Victor wouldn't go that far. Right. Still, Billy can't ignore the knot twisting in his stomach. Something about Victor's voice had sounded different. Too calm. Too certain. Billy grabs his coat and storms out. Minutes later, he arrives at the Abbott mansion. Kyle Abbott opens the door. Kyle, where's Jack? Billy asks immediately. Kyle frowns. Chicago. Billy's eyes narrow. What? Kyle shrugs. He texted earlier, said he had last-minute business, something urgent. Billy's expression hardens. That doesn't sound right. Jack Abbott doesn't vanish on sudden business trips, not without telling someone in person. Billy steps inside. Diane Jenkins Abbott appears from the living room. What's going on? She asks. Billy exhales slowly. You might want to sit down. Kyle and Diane exchange uneasy looks. Billy doesn't sugarcoat it. Victor Newman says he has Jack. The room goes completely silent. Diane's face drains of color. What did you just say? Billy continues, his voice grim. Victor called me, he says Jack's life is at stake, and the only way Jack walks free is if I sign Chancellor back over to him before the day over. Kyle stares at Billy in disbelief. That's insane. Diane shakes her head. No, Victor wouldn't. Billy cuts her off. He absolutely would. The realization settles heavily over the room. Kyle's fists clench. We're going to the Newman ranch, he says. Diane nods sharply. If Victor thinks he can take my husband and get away with it, he's about to learn how wrong he is. Back at the Newman ranch, Victor Newman stands calmly in his office. Like a man who has already won. Adam Newman stands nearby, arms crossed. He looks uneasy. You really kidnapped Jack Abbott? Adam asks. Victor doesn't look up from the glass of whiskey in his hand. I did what was necessary. Adam sighs. You know this could explode, right? Victor's expression doesn't change. Everything in life carries risk. Adam studies his father carefully. You're playing with fires. Victor finally looks at him. I always do. Adam shakes his head. You've crossed a line this time. Victor smiles faintly. Perhaps. Adam exhales. Look, I don't agree with this. Victor raises an eyebrow. But, Adam's voice tightens. But you're still my father. Victor nods once. That's all I need to know. Just then the door bursts open. Kyle and Diane storm inside. Diane's eyes blaze with fury. Where is my husband? Victor calmly sets his glass down. Good afternoon, Diane. Kyle steps forward. You kidnapped my dad. Victor tilts his head slightly. Kidnapped is such an ugly word. Kyle looks ready to explode. Where is he? Victor folds his hands calmly. Jack Abbott is perfectly safe. Kyle scoffs. For now, right? Victor's eyes glint. For now. Diane's voice trembles with rage. You're a monster. Victor barely reacts. This is business. Kyle pulls out his phone. I'm calling the police. Victor chuckles softly. And what will you tell them? Kyle glares at him. That you abducted my father. Victor spreads his hands. Do you have proof? Kyle freezes. Victor leans forward slightly. No witnesses, no evidence, only accusations. Diane slowly reaches out and lowers Kyle's phone. Not yet, she murmurs. Kyle turns to her in disbelief. Mom, Diane whispers urgently. If we push him too hard, he could hurt Jack. Victor watches them with quiet satisfaction. Kyle points a finger at him. If anything happens to my dad, I will destroy you. Victor doesn't even flinch. You should focus on Billy. Kyle frowns. What? Victor smiles coldly. The solution is simple. Diane's stomach twists. Billy gives me Chancellor. Victor nods once. And Jack comes home. Across town, Billy returns to his apartment. Audra Charles sits at the table reviewing documents. Sally Spectra stands beside her. The moment Billy walks in, Sally notices the tension in his face. Billy, what's wrong? Audra glances up. Billy forces a smile. Work emergency. Audra raises an eyebrow. I'll come back later. She gathers her things and exits. As soon as the door closes, Billy turns to Sally. I need to tell you something. Sally steps closer. You're scaring me. Billy runs a hand through his hair. Victor Newman kidnapped Jack. Sally's eyes widen. What? Billy explains everything quickly. Victor's threat. The ultimatum. Chancellor for Jack. Sally exhales slowly. That's insane. Billy nods. Yeah. He walks to the window staring out. The worst part, Victor might actually do it. Sally steps beside him. What are you going to do? Billy shakes his head. I don't know. He looks at her helplessly. If I give Victor Chancellor, he wins. Sally nods. But if you do... Billy's voice drops. My brother might die. A heavy silence fills the room. Then Billy adds quietly. Until I see proof Jack's alive and safe, Victor gets nothing. Meanwhile, miles away on the dark ocean, Jack Abbott grips the small window again. The waves crash softly against the yacht. The realization sinks deeper with every passing second. He's completely alone. No phones. No escape. No idea how far from land he is. Jack turns slowly toward the locked door again. And for the first time, fear truly settles in. Victor Newman hasn't just taken control of Chancellor. He's taken control of Jack Abbott's life. And right now, no one knows where he is. Jack Abbott presses his ear against the locked cabin door. Silence. No footsteps. No voices. Just the distant hum of the yacht's engine and the soft crash of waves outside. His heart pounds harder. Victor Newman didn't just kidnap him. Victor buried him. Out here in the middle of the ocean, Jack might as well be invisible. Jack steps back from the door and runs both hands over his face, forcing himself to think. Panicking won't help. Victor didn't keep him alive for nothing. Victor wants something. Which means Jack is leverage. But leverage for what? Jack already knows the answer. Chancellor. Victor has always wanted control back. And Billy now stands directly in his way. Jack exhales slowly. Damn you, Victor, he mutters. Across Genoa City, the consequences of Victor's move are spreading fast. At the Newman ranch, Kyle Abbott paces back and forth like a caged animal. Diane stands near the fireplace, arms tightly folded. Victor remains seated, perfectly calm. The contrast is almost disturbing. Kyle stops packing. "You're going to regret this." Victor doesn't even blink. "I doubt that." Kyle scoffs. "You kidnapped my father." Victor tilts his head slightly. "I prefer to call it strategic pressure." Diane's voice shakes with anger. "You've crossed every line." Victor finally stands. Jack Abbott crossed lines long before today. Kyle steps forward. "This isn't about old grudges." Victor's eyes narrow slightly. "Everything is about old grudges." The tension in the room becomes suffocating. Kyle points toward Victor. "You release my dad right now." Victor folds his hands behind his back. "That depends." Kyle laughs bitterly. "Of course it does." Victor's voice turns colder. "Billy gives me Chancellor." Diane shakes her head slowly. "You're gambling with a man's life." Victor replies without hesitation. "I'm securing my legacy." Kyle stares at him in disbelief. "You're unbelievable." Victor walks past them toward the door. "You should speak to Billy." Kyle clenches his fists. "Because if he refuses." Victor pauses. Then he glances back over his shoulder. "Let's hope he doesn't." Meanwhile, Billy Abbott is drowning in impossible choices. At his apartment, he sits heavily on the couch. Sally Spectra watches him carefully. Billy stares at the floor. "Victor always finds a way," he murmurs. Sally sits beside him. "This isn't your fault." Billy lets out a hollow laugh. "Tell that to Jack." Sally gently touches his arm. "You don't even know if Victor's telling the truth." Billy shakes his head. "No, but I know Victor." He looks at her seriously. When Victor Newman says someone's life is on the line, it usually is. Sally swallows hard. "So what happens now?" Billy exhales slowly. "Now we wait." Sally frowns. "For what?" Billy's eyes darken. "Proof." He leans forward, elbows on his knees. "If Victor really has Jack, he'll want me to know." Sally studies him. "You're stalling." Billy nods slightly. "Yeah." "And if Victor loses patience?" Billy's voice becomes quiet. "Then things get ugly." Across town, life continues for others, completely unaware of how dangerous the situation has become. At Crimson Lights, Claire Newman sits across from Victoria Newman. Claire stirs her coffee nervously. "There's something I need to tell you." Victoria senses the tension immediately. "What's wrong?" Claire hesitates. "I've been doing a lot of thinking since my trip to Los Angeles." Victoria leans closer. "About what?" Claire sighs. "About who I was becoming." Victoria looks confused. Claire's voice softens. "I was so focused on revenge." Victoria's expression tightens. "Against Audra." Claire nods slowly. "I was obsessed with hurting her." She looks down at the table. "And for a moment, I realized something that terrified me." Victoria's voice drops. "What?" Claire finally meets her eyes. "I was starting to think like Jordan." Victoria shakes her head immediately. "No." Claire continues. "That level of anger, that obsession." Victoria reaches across the table. "Claire, listen to me." Claire's eyes flicker with uncertainty. Victoria squeezes her hand. "Jordan wouldn't have stopped at thoughts." Claire remains quiet. Victoria continues firmly. "You did." Claire exhales slowly. "I hope you're right." A brief silence passes. Then Claire asks something unexpected. "Have you talked to Victor today?" Victoria rolls her eyes. "No." Claire frowns. "That's strange." Victoria shrugs. "Not really." Claire tilts her head. "You're not curious what he's planning." Victoria sighs. My father always thinks he needs to fix everything himself. Claire studies her. You're the same way. Victoria raises an eyebrow. What's that supposed to mean? Claire smiles slightly. You don't like waiting for other people to act. Victoria chuckles softly. Maybe. Claire leans forward. You were ready to fly to Milan. Victoria hesitates. That was different. Claire nods slowly. But you let everyone talk you out of it. Victoria looks thoughtful. Claire adds gently. Maybe you should trust your instincts. Victoria sits back considering that. Claire watches her mother carefully. Sometimes the right move is the one no one expects. Back on the dark ocean, the yacht cuts quietly through the water. Inside the locked cabin, Jack Abbott refuses to sit still. He tries the door again. Still locked. He scans the room. Bed, chair, small table. Nothing useful. Jack moves back to the tiny window again. Endless black water. No land. No lights. No rescue. He whispers to himself. Think, Jack. Victor wouldn't leave him here forever. Someone has to be controlling the yacht. Someone has to open that door eventually. And when they do, Jack plans to be ready. Back in Genoa City, the pressure on Billy keeps building. His phone buzzes. Billy grabs it instantly. Unknown numbers. His heart races. He answers. Hello. Victor Newman's voice fills the line. William. Billy stands up immediately. What did you do with my brothers? Victor's tone remains calm. I told you Jack is safe. Billy's patience snaps. Then prove it. Victor pauses. Then he says something chilling. You'll have proof soon. Billy grips the phone tighter. And if I don't sign Chancellor over? Victor doesn't hesitate. Time is not on Jack's side. The line goes dead. Billy stares at the phone. Sally looks terrified. What did he say? Billy slowly lowers the phone. He's running out the clock. Sally whispers. Billy. Billy turns toward the window again. Victor Newman has made his move. And now the entire Abbott family is being forced into a deadly game. One wrong decision. And Jack Abbott might never come home. But the real question now is this. How far is Victor Newman willing to go? Before someone finally stops him,